There are moments when death stops being an end and becomes a mirror. For Ibn Arabi, the afterlife was never a distant realm of judgment and reward. It was a truth already unfolding within the soul, hidden behind the veil of perception. He once wrote, "People die only to awaken to what was always before them." To understand his vision of the afterlife, we must begin where he always began, not in fear, but in awareness. To Ibn Arabi, death was not a departure from life, but a return to reality. The world we see, he said, is like a shadow cast by the true world, a reflection on the surface of a divine ocean. We think we are living in reality, but in truth, we are dreaming inside God's imagination. He called this hidden world al-alam al-mithal, the imaginal realm, a space between the physical and the spiritual. It is where forms are born from meanings, where light takes shape, and where souls reveal their true faces. To the unawakened, this world remains invisible, but to the mystic, it is as real as breath, the place where angels, dreams, and the afterlife converge. Ibn Arabi described life as a classroom for the soul. Every joy, every pain, every encounter was a divine lesson teaching the spirit to recognize itself. He said, "The body is the school, the world is the teacher, the soul is the student. When the lesson is complete, the soul simply moves on, not into darkness, but into light." He did not see death as the extinguishing of the flame, but as the removal of the glass that hides its glow. The physical body, he explained, is like a lamp covering, fragile, temporary. When it breaks, the flame is not lost, it is released. "The ignorant weep," he wrote, "for they see the lamp fall, not the fire rise." To Ibn Arabi, every human being carries two kinds of vision, the outer eye which sees form and the inner eye which sees truth. At death, he said, the outer eye closes, but the inner eye opens fully, revealing what has always been there. Heaven and hell, he believed, are not distant places, but states of consciousness. The purified soul awakens in harmony with divine presence. The veiled soul awakens still trapped in its illusions. But even this, Ibn Arabi said, is mercy. For God's compassion never ends, not in this life, nor beyond it. "No one is denied his mercy," he wrote, "for even the fire burns only to purify." He saw the afterlife not as punishment or reward, but as unveiling. The truth of your heart is simply revealed. The soul meets itself, stripped of pretenses, reflected perfectly in divine light. The one who has lived with love finds the beloved everywhere. The one who lived in separation awakens to the loneliness of their own veil. He often spoke of Barzakh, the isthmus or barrier between the worlds. It is neither here nor there, neither death nor life, but both. It is the crossing point, the threshold where forms dissolve and meanings are born. For the mystic, every moment of deep awareness is a taste of Barzakh. Every time the heart awakens, a small death occurs, the death of illusion, the birth of clarity. Ibn Arabi said that the saints and the lovers of God do not fear death because they die before dying. "Die before you die," he urged. "Only then will you truly live." To die before death means to let the ego dissolve, to drop the masks that hide the eternal self. When that happens, the veil begins to thin, and the soul starts to see the next world even while walking in this one. He told a story once about a man who asked, "Master, what awaits us after death?" Ibn Arabi smiled and said, "What awaits you is what you carry, for what we call the afterlife is not a new landscape. It is the landscape of the soul revealed." The miser finds himself surrounded by the hunger he created. The lover finds himself embraced by the light he nurtured. the soul steps into the architecture of its own inner world. To him, this was not a threat, but an invitation to purify the mirror now before the great unveiling. Every action, every thought, he said, etches the form of your hereafter upon the fabric of your soul. When the body falls away, only those etchings remain. So Ibn Arabi did not wait for paradise. He sought to awaken within it. He lived as if eternity were already happening, because to him it was. Life and death were not two opposites, but two breaths of the same reality. The one breathes you into form, and then breathes you back into light. He wrote, "There is no death for the lover of God, only a change of garment." And so, when he spoke of the afterlife, he spoke not with fear, but with wonder. For him, to die was not to vanish, it was to see. When the final breath leaves the body, Ibn Arabi said, the soul does not fall into silence, it awakens into sound. The universe hums with remembrance, and in that sacred vibration, the soul hears what it could not hear before. When the veil is lifted, he wrote, every atom sings the name of God. He described the afterlife not as a static paradise, but as movement, an unfolding journey through layers of divine reality. Just as the physical world has its mountains and oceans, the unseen world has its degrees of light and understanding. The purified soul ascends not upward through space, but inward through awareness, traveling from the outer reflections of truth toward the center, the face of the beloved. In the beginning, he said, the newly departed soul sees forms shaped by its own inner state. If it loved beauty, it meets beauty. If it lived with cruelty, it meets the shadows it has cast. Each vision is a mirror. Heaven and hell are not places God sends you to. They are realities you bring with you. The next world, Ibn Arabi wrote, is the image of your own heart, made vast. For him, divine justice was not revenge, but revelation. The soul encounters nothing except itself, unveiled. Every thought, every act, every love, every neglect, all of it becomes visible, woven into the luminous fabric of being. And yet, behind even this, there is only mercy. For God, he said, is never absent from any soul, even in its darkness. He envisioned the ultimate destiny of every soul as reunion, not eternal separation, but eventual harmony. The fire of regret purifies, the light of love redeems. No one is lost forever, because nothing can remain outside the embrace of the infinite. Even suffering becomes a doorway. The torment of the fire, he said, is the burning away of distance. In this vision, the afterlife is not punishment, it is purification, not a foreign place, but the soul stripped of disguise. When the veils fall, the lover finds what he always sought, the beloved hidden within his own being. The knower becomes what he knows, the seeker becomes what he sought. Ibn Arabi often used the image of light through glass. In life, each soul is like colored glass filtering divine light, one green, one red, one blue. After death, the glass shatters and the pure light flows free. What remains is not personality, but essence, the eternal consciousness that was never born and will never die. He said that those who awaken to this truth while alive experience death as a homecoming, not a rupture. They enter the next world laughing as if remembering an old song. For the lovers of God, he wrote, death is the festival of meeting. In his writings, he spoke of seeing souls after death, radiant beings clothed in light, conversing without words, moving without distance. In that world, time is not linear. Moments expand like ripples in a boundless sea. A single instant contains eternity, and eternity appears as a single breath. And yet Ibn Arabi was not content to describe what awaits beyond. His true message was that the afterlife begins now. Every act of awareness, every moment of compassion, every silence in which the heart remembers its source. These are glimpses of the next world breaking into this one. To die before dying, he taught, is to experience that unveiling while the body still walks the earth. The mystic does not wait for the grave. He turns his life into resurrection. When he looks upon creation, he sees the unseen shining through it. When he breathes, he tastes eternity. For Ibn Arabi, the difference between this life and the next was not a wall, but a thin, luminous veil, one that grows transparent for those who live with love. The soul, he said, is already in the afterlife. It only believes itself to be elsewhere. Imagine, then, how he saw existence. Every sunrise as a reminder of rebirth, every nightfall as rehearsal for returning to God. The true believer, he wrote, is one who dies 1,000 small deaths, each time the ego surrenders, each time the heart forgives, each time one sees the divine in another face. And in that seeing, death itself loses meaning. For how can there be death when all is one life flowing endlessly through form after form? The body falls, the soul continues, and the breath of God moves on, shaping new worlds out of its own light. When Ibn Arabi spoke of the afterlife, he did not speak to frighten. He spoke to awaken. He wanted humanity to see that paradise and hell are not waiting for us. They are within us, waiting to be realized. Heaven blooms wherever love is present. Hell begins wherever love is denied. And perhaps that is why, centuries later, his words still whisper across the veil. Do not fear the end. The end is only a return. For Ibn Arabi, death was not a doorway closing. It was the beloved opening his arms. The veil lifts, the mirror clears, and what remains is what always was. One infinite being gazing at itself through countless eyes.